Hi guys, welcome back to Tech at Home, week 6. And I'm Franz, the current Chief Technology Officer of DSC Loyola. So, DSC is a student organization in Loyola schools of Ateneo. And we're an organization that wants to uplift communities through technology. One of our flagship projects is actually Tech at Home. It's a series of workshops and seminars on different topics on tech, and this this project wouldn't be possible without Accenture. And their talk today prepared is Chatbots with Chammy and Mariel. So we have both Chammy and Mariel with us today. Um, Chammy is an enthusiastic educator of artificial intelligence. He works with machine learning, computer vision, and virtual agents at Accenture AI Labs. He has over 6 years of experience under his belt with app development, client and production support, and people management. He likes to spend weekends eating food and playing mobile games, specifically Mobile Legends, and genuinely enjoys watching boring documentaries. So let's all say hello to Chammy. Hi, Chammy.
Hi, thanks, Franz.
Okay.
Hello,
Um,
good afternoon, everyone, to everyone who's watching and listening to us. Again, I am Chami. Um, well, my real name is Michael, but my colleagues call me Chami. And with me here is Marielle.
mhm.
So,
So Marielle is an electronics communication engineer who decided to shift her career in a well-known IT industry, which is Accenture. She started with zero knowledge during her Java training, but because of her can-do attitude and perseverance, she succeeded in completing and passing the bootcamp. Now she has been working in Accenture for almost 3 years, and in the span of that 3 years, she's been deployed to many projects, particularly chatbots, as a developer and also a tester. So, hello, Marielle.
Hi, friends. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. So I
So, we're,
hope I hope you'll learn something from us today.
uh, we're so glad to have both of you today, and we can just go straight ahead to the presentation.
all right. All right.
So,
Thanks again. Okay, so I shall start. Thank you again, Franz. Again, I'm Chami, and with me here is Marielle, and we are part of Accenture's AI group. And for this afternoon, we are going to talk about chatbots. So, for this session, we will learn what chatbots are, why chatbots are beneficial to many industries today, and as well as the requirements and some of the available tools that we can use in case we want to build our own chatbot. So um, let's start. So before we discuss about chatbots, so let's have a brief introduction first on artificial intelligence. So for this, I have a question actually for Marielle. Marielle, are you still there?
Yep. Hello.
Yes. And yeah, for everyone who's listening, you can also think of some answers to my question. So my question for you, Marielle, is suppose you will be transferring in a new location, or suppose you will be living in a new location. So what do you think are the essential things that you need to do in order for you to adapt to that scenario?
Uh,
Can you
for
think
me,
of any?
yeah, for me, um, we'll wait.
Mm-hmm. So,
We'll know. I will know the environment and the people
mm-hmm,
to, and in that way, I will be able to adapt faster.
mm-hmm.
So that's
Okay, so you will get to know the people
yes,
around
yes,
you. You will also get to know your environment in general.
yes,
Okay. Yeah, so basically for you to adapt to that new location. So basically you need to learn everything about that um new location you'll be transferring to. So you need to first learn um get to know the people around you. You uh you can also check the stores nearby in case you want to buy something. You check the nearest hospitals, churches. You check the modes of transportation available, the routes. Um, in case you want to go from one place to another. So basically, that is what we are doing if we will be transferring to another location. So basically, we learn these new scenario. So for machines, it is also possible for them to learn those events or those instances. So because they have this capability that enables them to learn. For example, the driverless cars from Tesla and Google were built um, because they were able to learn and we are able to teach them the essentials of driving and of course that um, action is possible because of our concept of artificial intelligence. So, in basic terms, artificial intelligence is a broad area of computer science that makes machines seem to have human intelligence. So, artificial intelligence provides systems the capability to sense, comprehend, act, and most importantly, to learn. So suppose we already know a specific location and for instance, there were major road constructions or a store has transferred to a new location. So what do we need to do in order for us to account that scenario? So we get to know alternative routes. We should know the new location where our favorite store has transferred. So in that way, um, we are able to learn these new concepts and we apply it to our day-to-day activity in our day-to-day activities. And in the case of machines, it is also possible for them to acquire these real-world experiences, of course, through the data that we feed to them. And also through learning by themselves, they maintain their relevance and it improves their efficiency. So today we have a lot of AI solutions available in the market, and depending on its use case, um, we are able to utilize these solutions. So examples of them are RPA tools. So we have robotic process automation tools that currently has this cognitive skill, so they are now able to perform human tasks. We also have analytics applications for object detection, for example, and for text analytics, for sentiment analysis. We also have tools for biometrics. And of course, we also have chatbots, which is one of the most common manifestations of AI. So let's focus more on chatbots as an AI solution. So basically, chatbots are non-humans that can perform a task for us. So these applications or smart assistants that can interact with people and can perform actions such as answering questions, giving recommendations, and processing data. So, um, these chatbots have the four functionalities that we have introduced a while ago: sense, comprehend, act, and learn. And for that application to have these behaviors, we use a lot of tools and concepts. So we'll discover it um, later on. So chatbots um, are not new to us actually. So we have this concept way back in the 50s or 60s, um, when computers were discovered. So in fact, our very first chatbot, ELIZA, as shown in this screen. So ELIZA is our very first chatbot. It was built around 1966 and was mainly used for psychotherapy. So this is um, the interface of ELIZA, the chatbot, and it uses simple pattern matching to um, provide answers to the queries of the users. So technology evolves, um, and also the services offered by chatbots. So in our younger years, maybe we became familiar with some of the bots, um, but well, I think we are not really that sure yet of the functionalities that those bots can offer. So, for example, we have these applications. So, in our younger years, if we are fond of playing video games, Game Boy, for example, there are games there that have these built-in um, bots that can guide us to finish the game. We also have this icon Clippy. If you have used an older version of Microsoft Office, so if you accidentally press F1, you probably have seen Clippy or help icon or the Microsoft Office's help icon that time. Um, and also we have this little yellow figure here, SimSimi. So I think SimSimi was um, released around 2002. So in case you are lonely and bored and want some small talks, so SimSimi um, was always there and available um, for that function. So we have a lot of bots available at that time. So most of them have these functionalities to assist us in our day-to-day activities. So currently, we have these new generation bots. So as what I've said, technology changes, and so are our applications. So we now have these bots embedded in our devices. For example, iPhone has Siri. Our laptops or Windows have Cortana. We have our um, bots integrated in our devices, in our speakers. For example, we have bots for businesses. We also have bots in the academe, and also we have these fictional characters that basically are depiction of what these bots can do. So, okay, those are some examples of our bots. So, technically, bots, these chat bots, um, engages us in conversation, and also they provide services depending on the objectives of the developers of these applications. So we can generalize the tasks of our chatbot into three. So first is it can answer questions from the users. It's similar to an FAQ, but in a conversational manner. So in case you want to create an FAQ um, sheet in a conversational manner, so you might want to consider a chatbot for that. So second is it can direct us to a specific resolution path. So, for example, you are applying for a scholarship, and um, you can utilize chatbots in order for you to be assisted um, in the steps that you need to do for the scholarship application. And lastly, it can give recommendations and suggestions to its users. So, for example, you want to buy a new laptop. So, a bot or a chatbot can assist you in, or it can give you suggestions on which brand of laptop uh, you can buy based on your needs. So, again, those are the three general tasks that a chatbot can do, and its target audience may also will also depend on its services. So it can be students, it can be employees, it can be customers, and etc. So um, yeah, that's what our chatbots can do. And essentially, these applications can be integrated in our day-to-day activities. So currently, we are hearing lots of um, companies, lots of industries utilizing chatbots for their day-to-day operations. So we have chatbots for HR services. We have chatbots in the financial services sector. We also have chatbots that can improve our lives, for example, for PWDs and our elderlies. So we also have chatbots that we can use during our leisure time. So um, basically, chatbots are emerging in this period, and it provides us a new way of communicating with each other. So there you go. Yeah, so we now know what chatbot is and what it can offer to us. So in case we want to create our own chatbot, so we will be needing to consider these three phases. So it's basically similar to other programs that we create. So chatbot also has these phases. Chatbot creation, rather. So first is the design phase. So in this phase, we create a persona of our chatbot. So for example, Mariel, are you still there? So I have a question. So have you used Siri, or have you tried talking to Siri? Okay, I think she's not there. But yeah, if you talk to Siri, Siri has um, this distinct voice that lets us visualize her as a sophisticated New Yorker, maybe. So, based on Siri's voice, um, we have developed this visualization for the application. So maybe it's also um, that is also the description that the developer wants us to see in the application. So again, the design phase is where you build the personality of your bot. So Ways app, for example, can have this custom voice. So it also adds the personality to the application. So the design phase is also where you define the functionalities of your chatbot. So what services can it offer to um, the users? So next is the develop phase is the actual building of the application. So once you have all the requirements that can be considered, so you can now start building your own chatbot. So here we utilize different tools. Um, it may be a vendor specific platform, or it can be an open source framework. So depending on the requirements, so you can use these tools in the development phase. So chatbot creation has three main components. So first is the communications channel where your application shall lie. So where can the users access your chatbot? So it can be in a messaging platform. It can be embedded in a website. It can be in a specific device. So next is the natural language processing model. So this is what understands the user. So NLP again, or natural language processing, is a technique that a machine can use in order for them to understand human languages. So at the back end of NLP is machine learning. So it contains these algorithms that helps the machine to process messages coming from the users. And lastly, chatbot has this intelligence, or it has its knowledge source. So it can be connected to another application, um, a database, or probably an automation tool where it gets the details it needs to provide a relevant answer to its users. So those are some of the components of a chatbot that we need to consider in case we are starting our development. Okay, so this is just a basic flow of a chatbot. So first is, of course, we access the channel where our chatbot lies, and we put in our query in that channel, and the program goes to the gateway where the message is being processed. um, and then the program goes to the worker where it gets the necessary details to answer the query from the user. So from the worker, it goes back to the gateway and then back to the channel where the user can receive the answer from our chatbot. So gateway um, is the heart of the process. So it is where natural language processing models lie. So um, it is also where our messages uh, get validated. And you can also see here in this diagram that we have these three green boxes below: intents, responses, and dialogue trees. So these concepts are what we do as developers of these applications. So we will be tackling that later on in part two of our discussion. And um, this gateway is also connected to an external source where it throws the message or throws the query depending on the needs of the user. Okay, so those are some of the concepts that we will be encountering in case we will start building our own application. So later on, we'll try to um, discuss those concepts further. Okay. So the third phase, once you're done building, so you can now deploy the application or your chatbot in this case. So for it to be utilized by our target audience. So in the deployment phase, so you can use a lot of different tools again for deployment. We can also add other layers for yeah, to provide other additional services to our application. So we can probably add, for example, security layers to scrub our data before it gets to the cloud, for example, and some other similar functionality. Okay, so yeah, those are the three phases that we need to consider in creating our own chatbot. So again, that's design, develop, and deploy. Okay, so we also have this concept of NLP, or natural language processing. So again, at the back end of natural language processing are machine learning algorithms. So um, a lot of models for NLP um, uses neural networks as its algorithm, for example. And we also have other machine learning algorithms for these NLP models. Okay. So we also have a lot of NLP models available in the market. So in the past, these NLP models are only run by supercomputers. So thanks to APIs, we can now access these NLP models. So we can now integrate our own frameworks in these models, so we can have the NLP. So, for example, we have NLPs from Microsoft, IBM, Facebook, and Google, and a lot more NLP services available. We also have standalone packages for NLP. So, for example, Python language is a good tool for NLP because it has this natural language toolkit package. Okay. Okay, so those are some of the tools that we can use in building our own chatbot. So again, it will depend on the resources that we have and the requirements that we need to consider in building our chatbot. So yeah, we now know what chatbots are, the essential components and the essential concepts in building a chatbot. So we are now one step away from creating our own solution. So before we go into building our own bot, so we might want to answer these questions first. So some of the again considerations before building or before creating a chatbot. So first, where will it live? So will it be by in Facebook, in Viber, or will it be embedded in a site? Or basically, you can also consider your audience here. So, will your audience be students, for example? So you might want to deploy your chatbot in a channel where these users uh, can easily access. It can be it can cater to businesses. So these business might have some internal sites where we can deploy your bot. So those considerations um, should also be thought of. So second is what value will it add to what is existing? So we have a lot of bots, chat bots available in the market. Um, it is important for us to somehow define a differentiator between our application and other applications in the market. So we can also think of what is repetitive and simple. So in this way, we can define the objectives for our application. And lastly, what platform will we use? So again, there are a lot of platforms and open source frameworks that we can use in chatbot building. So it's up to us what to use. Okay. All right. So that's an overview of chatbots. So again, those concepts um, are essential in when you start creating your own bots. So yeah, you might want to take note of those ideas or those concepts. So in the part two of this session, we'll have a walkthrough on Dialogflow. So basically, Dialogflow is one of the most common tools that we can use in building chatbots. So for this one, I'll handing you over to Marielle to give us a walkthrough on the tool. Marielle,
Thank you so much, Chammy. Is Marielle still here?
is Marielle here?
There she is.
Hello, hello.
There you
Yeah.
go, Marielle.
Okay. So thanks, Chami. Hello, everyone. So now let me walk you through Dialogflow. And as mentioned earlier by Chami, there are many natural language processing or NLPs that can be used in creating a chatbot. And one of these is the Dialogflow. So what is Dialogflow? It is an end-to-end developer platform for building natural and rich conversational experiences. And it is used to design and integrate a conversational user interface into mobile apps, web applications, devices, bots, interactive voice response systems, and so on. So now let's proceed with the essentials of Dialogflow. First is the intent. So uh, think of intents as verbs or actions. So the intent is the intention of the user and the action the user wants to take or expect from the chatbot. For example, book a flight, update ticket, call Mary, order pizza, or locate printer. So the intents here are book, update, call, and locate. So now let's discuss some best practices in defining your intents. So first is to make sure to consider different ways user might convey that intention. For example, I would like to order a pizza or one order of 14-inch Hawaiian pizza, please. Chami, would you mind give me another way of saying I want to order a pizza?
Um, yeah, probably we can say I would like to have an order of a, a specific pizza, Hawaiian pizza, for example, or pepperoni.
Yeah, yeah. As long as it's unique,
Mm,
um, yeah, it's another way of saying that
yes.
intent. Okay, so next practice is try to keep your intents clear and certain and avoid having intents which overlaps. So, for example, if you have a chatbot which handles travel arrangements such as flights and hotels, you can choose to have these two user utterances and ideas as separate intents, or use the same intent with two entities for specific data inside the utterance, be it flights or hotels. So if the vocabulary between two intents are the same, combine the intent and use entities. So for example, we have two user utterances, which is book a flight or book a hotel. So as you can notice, both use the same wording, book a. So the format is the same, so it should be the same intent with different entities. One entity being flight and the other hotel. So by the way, think of entities as nouns, and we'll discuss it further later. So the third practice is to prioritize intents that represent the most common requests. The next essential is the entities. So entities are objects acted upon by your intent. Each intent parameter has a type called the entity type, which dictates exactly how data from an end user expression is extracted. So, for example, I want ice mocha. So, the entity here is ice mocha. Next, we can declare entities through Dialogflow console. We'll show how later during the actual demo. So you should map entities to intent through annotation. So you will notice in the examples below, examples in the screen, Manila, Tokyo, China, etc. are highlighted. This means they were annotated as parameters that are assigned to location entities, and these parameters allow Dialogflow to understand the other locations the user may say, and not just Manila, Tokyo, and Singapore. So next is, how does Dialogflow works? So first, we will be building a chatbot through interface, and it's where we provide our data in terms of training phrases or utterances. After providing training phrases, the Dialogflow will undergo training, and it will analyze the phrases that we entered. The output is the trained model. So we use trained model to check if the output is correct or valid. Basically, this is to test your chatbot if working as expected. Okay, so now let's proceed to the actual demo. So please access this site at https://dialogflow.com. So for this demo, we will be needing Google account to log in. If in case you don't have Google account, you can create a new one. So in here, I'll be showing you how to create a simple chatbot with Dialogflow platform. Does everyone have an account already? Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen. So let's start. So okay, first is to create an agent. click on Create Agent in the left navigation and fill in the fields, or just click this Create Agent button. Okay, so for this demo, we'll name our agent DemoBot and set our language to English. Then click Create button. So while waiting for it to be saved, a Dialogflow agent is similar to a human call center agent. You train them both to handle expected conversation scenarios, and your training does not need to be overly explicit. Okay, so once created, you should be able to see a default fallback intent and a default welcome intent already set up. So what is default fallback intent? It is a special type of intent which acts whenever the agent does not understand what the user is asking for. For example, your intent is order pizza, but you said, what is the weather today? So since it's not part of your intent, this will fall to fallback intent and basically will say, I don't quite understand. Can you say it again? So something like that. And default welcome intent allows the agent to recognize greetings from the user. For example, you say hi, then the bot will reply, good day, what can I do for you? So now we are ready to create our own intent. So first is to click on the plus icon next to intents, or just click this create intent button. So enter the name for your intent. This can be whatever you'd like, but it should be intuitive for what the intent is going to accomplish. So let me name my intent play music and save. So a basic intent contains the following: training phrases, action and parameters, and responses. So in the training phrases section, um, enter examples of what you might expect a user to ask for. Since we are creating a play music agent, we want to include phrases about songs or genre or etc. So the more examples you provide, the more a user can ask a question and the agent will understand. So let's try creating phrases. So uh, please play Let It Go, or I want to listen to um, I want to listen to Black Swan. Black Swan. Then save it. Chami, would you mind to give other phrases?
Okay. Other phrases for play music. So probably you can add there kindly start playing um, a specific title of a song. Maybe you can add a photograph there. So kindly
Okay.
start playing photograph.
Okay. We can also put here I want to hear I want to hear someone like you. Okay. So there you go. So you can put at least 10 to 15 utterances or phrases, and just make sure that each one is unique and does not overlap with each other. So once you have added a few example user utterances, so the following example describes entity decomposition. let's highlight the quantifiers or the songs and click create new. And you can also create a new entity by clicking the plus icon next to entities. So here or here. Okay, so wait, entities. So I'll name my entity songs and oh wait, entities. Okay, create entity and then I'll name these songs and I'll add all the songs, photograph, and then black swan, let it go, and okay, let's save this. So going back to our intent, which is play music, highlight again the songs and find the entity created and do this to other phrases. So someone like you. Then let's find the songs. Okay. And then let's do this to other songs. Black Swan, and let it go. Okay. Then don't forget to save. So the next thing to do is the response. So this will be the text delivered to the user. So let's create a response for this. For example, okay, play your favorite song. Hope you enjoy. Okay. Tammy, are you there?
Okay, so
Okay. What do you think are some possible response for our play music bot?
okay, response. So maybe you can add there. Sure. I will be playing. And then the song that the user has indicated
Yep. Okay.
there.
Thank you. So you can see the second response reference entities songs by its value placeholders. The syntax songs will extract the song from the request. Okay, so when the agent responds, it takes into account the parameter values gathered and will use a reply that includes those values it picked up. So now that we are ready to test our simple bot, make sure that the training is completed. So there will be a pop-up notifications here. Intent save, and we'll just wait. Okay, agent training started. Okay, so it's now completed. We can now try our bot. So let's try it. Using this try it now in the right part of the page. So I want to listen to some someone like you. Okay, enter. Oh, I forgot. So uh, so once that happened, click this gear icon and then find the service account under Google Project and click this plus icon. And so now it can Let's test again, but don't forget to save it. Okay. Mm, wait. So now it's still loading. Okay, let's try again. I want to listen to someone like you. So as you will notice, so the response that we've created a while ago is here. So sure, I will be playing someone like you. So even if we try other utterance, as long as the context is there, it will still accept that phrase and will respond as expected. So as you can see, the response is sure, I will be playing someone like you. Some so it gets the value of that placeholder. So Dialogflow has many more features like integrations, built-in pre-built agents, small talk, and many more. And you can see here in the left part of the page. So Dialogflow provides one-click integrations to most popular messaging apps like Facebook Messenger, Slack, Twitter, other Skype, so many more. And since we've tested our bot and it's working fine, we can deploy it using the integrations. Let's try it. Okay. So there are so many integrations here. So for now, for our demo, let's try the web demo. Just uh, click that and then click this link or copy this link. Okay. And then let's try the phrase that we've entered a while ago. I want to listen to someone like you. Okay, so as expected, it's working. You can also try it using different channels. So that's it for Dialogflow. And I hope you've enjoyed listening and we hope you've learned a lot from this session. And since we're not able to discuss all the features, you may want to explore it.
So thank you so much, Marielle. And we'll be opening questions now. So anyone in the audience has questions, but actually I have a few questions myself. So what about if we started to train it? Do we need to include like stuff like spelling mistakes, or will Dialogflow already cover that?
Uh, Sometimes Dialogflow can understand that
Okay.
just a simple mistake. But if it's too far from that word, it
Mhm.
will not accept that phrase.
Okay. And we also have a question from Harvey Season. He's actually our current CEO of DSC, and he was asking about the pricing of Dialogflow.
Uh, Pricing.
Yeah. So like, is it free or
Uh, Chami?
oh, Chammy's here. Hi, Chammy.
Hello. Hi, sorry I got disconnected. But yeah,
It's okay.
I heard a question about pricing. So,
Mm-hmm.
previously Dialogflow is completely free, when
Okay.
its name was still API.ai. So
Mm-hmm.
now it was acquired by Google. So its name now
Mm-hmm.
is, oh yeah, obviously Dialogflow. And
Yeah.
in the homepage, so if you go to dialogflow.com, you can
Mm-hmm.
see the pricing tab there. So Dialogflow, if Marielle can show it.
Okay.
In dialogflow.com, you have the pricing tab there.
Mm-hmm.
So it shows the enterprise and the standard edition for Dialogflow. So again, it will depend on the requirements
Mm-hmm.
for the chatbot that you are building. So yeah, you can just check on the pricing tab of Dialogflow there. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think Marielle is showing it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah,
It's just low.
you can check it on that tab.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the pricing.
There you go.
All right. And we like I also noticed that there was a mic icon next to the try it out when we were testing
Mm-hmm.
the chatbot. So we
Yes.
also have a question from May May. So they had a problem with
Mm-hmm.
accents when using
Yes.
Dialogbox.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
how do you guys address that?
yes, I have actually tried it out myself, and I
Yeah,
also had a hard time um, uh, saying that specific those specific words to Dialogflow. I
yeah,
think the mic, yes, we can use the mic icon, but I think it has a hard time detecting our accent. Maybe it's
okay,
because of I think it's tailored to an American accent.
yeah,
Maybe it lacks training. So I hope if Dialogflow decides to update this
yeah,
tool, so maybe they can consider retraining their functionality for that speech to text tool.
okay. So it's just an integrated tool inside Dialogflow right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Dialogflow has its own tool for converting speech to text. I think they are using that as well in Dialogflow.
Okay, so
Google
it's not something
Speech.
that we can train. Is it something we can train inside Dialogflow, or is just one of their features?
If I'm sorry, we want to train that tool
Yeah,
to
can we?
account for. I believe we cannot train that
Okay.
tool
Mm-hmm.
because it uh we only have an access to the interface, not on at the back end. I think for us to train that tool for our specific accent and
Mm-hmm.
words, we will be needing to access the back end, and that's one thing we
Mm,
have no access because of yeah, security maybe on the side of the Googlers.
okay. So, hmm. So I'm also curious. Can we give data to the different parts of the chatbot, like so that they can recognize more songs, or do we have to do that individually?
Sorry, can we?
Can we like give it um, a database of, let's say, songs
Mm-hmm.
so that they can more? Can we do that inside Dialog Box?
Yes, we can. Well, first is we can integrate
Mm-hmm.
our a dialog flow to a database, maybe
Okay.
through integration API, using APIs. And second, if we want to upload our own data of songs maybe. So there
Mhm.
is actually an option there, a feature in Dialogflow under the entities tab where we can upload our own entity. So it's in a form of a JSON file. So yeah, you can actually do that. So for example, you can extract information from a database and then you can transfer it to Dialogflow. And oh yeah, again you can just connect Dialogflow to a database, then just get the information from there.
Okay. I have a follow-up question that
Mm-hmm.
because we were talking about how we can make it more human,
Yes.
and so um, we're asking like, is it possible to make legit conversations using the chatbot? So do you guys have something like speech design in Accenture or practices for designing conversations?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We do have some practices that we
Mhm.
apply in the current projects that we have in Accenture. We have a lot of POCs, proof of concepts, and we somehow we try to make our bots sound not too robotic,
Yeah.
and we, as much as possible, we want to create a bot that truly engages people in conversation. And
Mhm.
in fact, we have yeah, several clients as well. And yeah, for some of the industries, and their ask is, yeah, to create a chatbot that can engage people in conversation. So we do have some um, tools that we use for maybe training our bot based on the usual conversation, human to human conversation that we have. So I think that's one thing that we can do to have a more conversational chatbot.
Okay. Thank you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we have another question from Mark Lugdu. So, can we integrate Dialogflow to Google Sites?
Which Google site? But yeah, I think we can do integration
Mhm.
um, in Dialogflow as long as we have the requirements of that tool where we are going to integrate uh, Dialogflow. So I think, for example, for us to integrate Dialogflow to Facebook, for example, we need the token for us to connect. So maybe other sites would also have those requirements. So we just need to be aware of those
Okay.
requirements. Yes.
So that's something we can just kind of explore when using Dialogflow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dialogflow has this. If you have seen in Mariel's demo, it has the fulfillment tab. So it is where
Yeah.
you can try integrating Dialogflow to other applications.
Okay. We have another question from Mr. John Aden. Because we talked about Dialogflow, but he's asking, how do you compare Dialogflow to TensorFlow?
Mm-hmm. Dialogflow is more of a conversational experience. So we build chatbots using Dialogflow.
Mhm.
TensorFlow is used mainly for deep learning.
Okay.
So if we have applications for computer vision, maybe we
Mhm.
can utilize TensorFlow for that. So we can also use TensorFlow, I think, for creating NLP
Oh,
models
okay.
involving neural networks. But in my experience, TensorFlow is mainly used for computer vision.
Okay. So Dialogflow is something people can get into easier. So, like, let's say I'm a beginner in going
Yes.
into something like this. You would recommend Dialogflow.
Yes, I actually have tried a lot of these platforms, and
Yeah,
in my opinion, Dialogflow is the easiest
yeah.
in terms of learning. So yes, I recommend Dialogflow for in case we are just starting to explore more about chatbots, because most of the concepts that we will be um, discussing under chatbots can be visualized in Dialogflow. So, for example, we have intents, entities, and
Mm-hmm.
other terms. So we can, I think, we can appreciate it more using Dialogflow. So if we go or if we try other tools, so it would be easier for us to grasp the these new tools and other new concepts.
Yeah. I was also really surprised that it was only browser based. So like it's actually so easy to use, like
Mm-hmm.
Dialogflow.
Yes, and I think currently they are updating the tool, so it's now in version 2. So I'm not sure if they are they will be updating it soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have additional features there, and it is now more convenient for us to explore that tool.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll get a better voice assistant that can recognize
Mm-hmm.
accents. So we
Yes.
have another question from Jessia. What is currently the biggest challenge or limitation faced in chatbot development?
Mm-hmm. Well, in my opinion, I think the main challenge there is, or in terms of communication, it's constantly changing.
Okay.
So for us to build a bot that um, um, can be conversational based on the objective. So I think we would need to constantly retrain it as well for
Okay.
us to for the application um to recognize those changes in our languages or in the way we use those words as well. So another challenge that I see is um, in terms of defining the objectives
Mm-hmm.
of our application. So um, um, some of the objectives there are that we have are vague. So I
Okay.
think it will have an effect on the application also that we are building. So if the objective is not clear, then um, there's a chance that the application that we are building will not be as effective as what we expect it to be. So yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
another opinion on my end, because there are a lot of chatbots available, but
Yeah.
which chatbots there are relevant. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think we should consider that as well. And yeah, I think chatbots are still in the process of um, improving in terms
Mm-hmm.
of the conversational experience that it offers to its users. So if you ask me if these bots can already be considered as um, what else, like Jarvis maybe.
Okay.
So I think
Yeah.
we're really far from that, but I think we
Uh-huh.
are um, taking it one step at a time for us to develop those kinds of applications or those types of chatbots.
Okay. Marielle, are you here? Hello,
Hello,
hello.
hello. I'm here.
Do
I got disconnected.
it's okay. Do you have anything to add to that? To what Sir Chami said?
Oh, for the Dialogflow and TensorFlow, I agree. And It
Yeah.
Dialogflow has a quick hands-on, while TensorFlow you need to train it in order to get an accurate data. So
Mhm.
yeah. So aside
Okay.
from that, I agree with him.
Okay. Thank you, Marielle. And we have one more question.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, do you have any suggested resources for people to delve into chatbot design? Because we went through the basics, but do you guys have any suggestions on what you would recommend to start exploring first? Like what kind of uh, integrations and stuff?
Oh,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So, well, first, Dialogflow has a lot of documentations. Not only specific to the tool, but it can also be used for general concepts. So we can use those documentations or resources if we want to learn more about chatbots.
Okay.
And another um site maybe that I can recommend is Coursera. So
Coursera.
if you're familiar with Coursera, it has
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of useful resources, especially for NLP and for building chatbots. So we can also use that one.
Right.
And yeah, I think there are a lot of resources, other resources there, but uh, for us, we that's the most common reference that we use, Coursera,
Mhm.
and the specific platforms. So aside from Dialogflow, we have Microsoft, we have IBM. So
Mm.
I I recommend that we also try those tools as well, and they have also these resources that are useful for us.
Marielle, do you have anything to add?
yeah, I actually started reading the documentation for Dialogflow,
Yeah.
and that's my what do you call that starting point, and in creating chatbot.
Okay. So, yeah. And we talked about NLPs. Do you guys suggest that when someone starts with making chatbots to try and also study how NLPs work? Or is that just something integrated into dialogue flow?
Mm-hmm. Well, we can create chatbots without digging further into NLP,
Okay.
because the platforms, the vendor
Mm.
specific platforms, has their own NLP models that we can that is readily available. But if we want to understand more about
Mhm.
NLP, then I think that's the time that we should deep dive into that concept. So yeah, I think for if we want to study NLP, then we can also consider Python as a tool that we can use to explore the concept.
Okay. Okay, so we have another question about Coursera. Like, what do you have a specific course for dialogue flow or a recommendation
Hmm. I actually can't
regarding?
remember. I can't remember a specific um course because there are a lot.
Uh-huh.
Um. Yeah, I can think of any, but for sure Coursera has this uh well, maybe not for Dialogflow specifically, but for NLP in
Okay.
general. So yeah, we can utilize Coursera for those information that we want to learn.
Okay. Thank you. So are you guys working on a chatbot for Accenture, or do you have like a project that you want to talk about, or maybe show us?
Mm-hmm. Well, in Accenture, we have tried creating
Yeah.
these bots.
Mhm.
We have um, created chatbots for different use cases and for
Okay.
different clients maybe.
Okay.
For example, in financial services sectors and in telcos. So we try to create chatbots that can cater to their needs. And we also have some initiatives in Accenture for building chatbots for other purposes, for health and public service,
Mm-hmm.
for government sectors, um, and yeah, other similar industries that we think would be suited for that type of application.
Okay.
I
So,
think Mariel has
yeah.
done
Yeah,
some bots. Maybe she can
yeah.
share some of it.
So one
Ooh.
of the is a chatbot wherein you can create a resume and
Ooh.
find a job and find the training, so you can access it in Messenger. So it's helpful for those who are in the remote areas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, so yeah. So that's one chatbot that we've created, and there is a lot more actually.
That's
Mm-hmm.
really interesting. We should like comment that down after this so that other people can access it too. Because that's really
Oh, okay.
interesting. Yeah. And maybe as a final question, because right now we're in ECQ and we're gearing towards blended learning on like for the coming semesters. So do you guys think that chatbots can be integrated somehow into blended learning that the government is suggesting?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me personally, I think it would help
Mm-hmm.
for us to integrate these technology, not just chatbots, but these new technologies
Yeah.
in the current situation that we have. So I think we just have to be creative in
Mm-hmm.
terms of learning in our case.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll just go back uh, to what I've said a while
Mm-hmm.
ago. So again, we have to define our objective. So if we have the right objective, then I believe we can create an application that can be utilized by many. So
Yeah.
in the case of learning, so I think we have a lot of technologies that can be integrated for us to have this efficiency in learning, even if we are in this period. So yeah, we the bottom line is just to be creative maybe, and
Mm-hmm.
somehow maybe we can think of a way on how we can use these technologies at its maximum
Yeah.
potential, so it can cater to everyone, not just for the privileged.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have another question. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
From Tanzel Go. What chatbot applications can we develop, or do you think you can suggest a possible application to help with the COVID crisis? Because the health industry is kind of impacted right now, and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like mental health or maybe stuff like speech therapy sessions. Do you think we can apply it to the health industry
Mm-hmm.
in that
Mm-hmm.
regard?
Okay, so one thing that I think would be feasible at this time is
Mhm.
well, we can create a bot. Well, first is for information dissemination.
Yeah.
I believe chatbots can be a great tool for that one,
Mhm.
because currently, as what I've observed, well, this is in my personal opinion only,
Yeah.
we lack this information. So about COVID or about other diseases maybe,
Yeah.
about the condition that we have, other scenarios like what will happen to us after May 31 maybe. So yeah, those types of information um, can be disseminated effectively, I believe, through this application. So I think we can consider that use case for if we are talking about COVID 19. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, information
So,
dissemination for me is one important thing in this period.
Marielle, do you have anything to add?
I I think I saw existing chatbots um for this situation, which is I think if I remember it correctly, COVID,
Okay.
wherein you will know the what do you call this, the positive the datas in each places. And also here's Kira, the bot.
Mm-hmm.
So it is also a health chatbot wherein you can also know some information. So
Okay.
yeah.
That's really interesting. I actually just searched it up as you said it, and it actually really works on
Oh
Messenger.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
super
I'm
interesting. Legit,
Yeah,
it
there
yeah.
works.
are there are a
You
lot
can search
of bots.
Philippines.
Yeah, yeah, it showed me like the total number of cases recovered.
Yes.
It's so cool.
Yes.
So you will be
And
updated every now and
yeah,
then.
okay.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, again, that's for the information dissemination as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
okay, so we can definitely share these to the stream or as comments for everyone to see. Um, And I just find it really interesting because just before the stream, I actually was doing a course or an online class, and it had a chatbot instead of like a teacher for all of your questions. So I was actually playing around with it. Like I was saying hi, I was putting in questions that the teacher just said to see how the chatbot um, kind of reacted. So I find it really interesting that after this talk, I got to understand what was going on more and how it can
Mm-hmm.
improve. So thank you guys so much for all of the info that you shared and for answering all of our questions. I think that a lot of our viewers have learned something, and I definitely did. And just seeing stuff like that, like the little bot on Messenger, makes me really happy that this is something that is really all around us and is helping people. So thank you so much for uh, partnering up with DSC Loyola and coming
Yes.
today for this talk.
Mm-hmm. Thank you also
Thank
to
you.
DSC
Yeah,
Loyola for inviting us here and for allowing us to share our knowledge in this topic. And yeah, I think it's a good initiative that we have this tech at home
yeah,
event. Yeah,
mhm,
it's I think it would be most helpful for students that are in this period.
Mm,
okay.
yeah.
So do you guys have any
Yeah.
final remarks, Marielle?
Uh, uh, if you want to access the chatbot that I've mentioned earlier, which is the
Mhm.
creating of resume, just search Tessa in Messenger,
How do we spell that? Like,
TESSA. It's actually a Taglish version. So, yeah, thank you.
okay. Do you guys have any final remarks for people who want to start with chatbots or just some words of encouragement?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, if you want to start to learn something, you do it now. We
Yeah,
have a lot of resources available. We have the internet, so as long as we have this drive to learn something new, so I think we can do it. So, for example, this concept, if it's
yeah.
something new, To you, so I encourage everyone to start learning chatbots. And well, not only chatbots, but I think AI in general has
AI,
a lot
yeah.
to offer to us. So we
Mm,
have NLP, we have machine learning, deep learning, and other related technologies. So yeah, you can start learning now if we want to.
Hmm.
yeah. So
Marielle?
for me, I encourage everyone to utilize this opportunity to learn something new and um, apply those what you've learned. And instead of taking much time in uh, Facebook or TikTok, just make your time uh, uh, use your time wisely
Yeah,
and make it more productive.
Yeah, maybe
That's
it's more of a balance
yes,
yeah.
between learning and having fun.
actually.
Okay.
Yeah, actually.
So again, thank you guys for coming on behalf of DSC Loyola and all of the viewers that tuned in today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, France, and thank you
Thank
to
you.
We hope
DSC.
to, yeah, we hope to see you guys again sometime for a different topic, maybe, because this is something that personally I want to learn, and a lot of peers I know would love to see other topics. So hopefully we get to work again with you guys.
Yes, and we hope to connect with you guys also sometime.
So thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you. Bye
much.
bye.
Bye.
So yeah, those were two amazing people that shared so much with us today. Thank you again, Chami, and Marielle. Thank you to Accenture for making this possible. So today we just discussed chatbots and dialogue flow as a whole. We talked about stuff like um, chatbots being all around us, Siri, SimSimi, like stuff that we see every day or like a part of our memories. Like personally, SimSimi is something I find like a funny memory. We talked about the phases of creating chatbots, design, develop, and deploy. We talked about NLPs and how they work with um, chatbots, how we make chatbots, and we also talked about what to consider before making one. Stuff like our audience, the platform, and the value that we give to by making that chatbot. We also talked about Dialogflow as our platform for making chatbots, like what it is, how it's actually browser based. I find that personally really interesting because it makes it so easy to use and very portable. Like you can do it anywhere. And the components and like the basic steps on where to start on Dialogflow. So uh, thank you guys so much for tuning in on behalf of DSC Loyola and the team that made this possible on behalf of Accenture too. I would like to thank you guys for coming to today's talk. And we hope to see you for the last workshop next week. And yeah, thank you guys.